Monday, December 15, 2025. The first item on the agenda is the certification recognition for Corporal Smith and Rancor.
Hello, everybody. So I just want to take this opportunity to introduce you to our new, the first ever K-9 team for the town of Enfield. So Sergeant Smith and Rancor, if they could come in, just recently graduated from both K-9 Patrol, Search and Rescue, and Drug Detection School. Our new K-9 team has over 800 hours of training. They are, by all means, by the instructor, an excellent team that excelled in every aspect of the training. I believe that they are going to be a force multiplier and a great team to the town of Enfield. So this is our team. This is Rancor and Sergeant Smith, and I just wanted to give them a round of applause for a great job done. So, believe it or not, he is a Belgian Malinois. I know he's giant, but and he's yeah. Does that the board have any questions about Rancor or?
I think he should step up to the podium, though.
Rancor? He likes to give hugs to well, to Sergeant Smith only now, but now that he's a working dog. So this is our K-19.
Bill, I should apologize to Sergeant Smith, because on my document here, it said Corporal Smith.
It's a recent change. So
Thank you. Congratulations.
anybody else got any questions for K-19? And for those who don't know, this was made possible by a grant that Sergeant Smith found that covers 100% of the cost of our new K-9 team for the first 3 years. We're hoping to extend that even further. Sergeant Smith has absolutely been great of being a resource and working within the community as well. We believe we'll be able to extend those. We hope to extend those funds out past the 3 years because Sergeant Smith has gone out and we have a local business that actually pays for Rancor's food every month. And then the veterinary clinic that we use does all his annual checkups for free. And if for some reason we have an issue that has to be, emergency, then we get a 50% discount on anything like that. Even furthermore, Rancor was nominated as one of the 12 Dogs of Christmas this year, and in being recognized in that, they fundraised and raised the funds to purchase his ballistic vest, which is another savings of about $2,000 that we will be able to put back into that grant and keep using that to fund any overtime or other stuff that comes out of the for K-9 use. So.
He's in a calendar publication because of that too.
I believe so, yes. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
Next up, we have a public hearing, proposed water and sewer rates. As the select board, we are the water and sewer commissioners. Ed, will you be leading us through this? Or
Yes,
Jim?
I can go ahead and start, and then Jim Taylor's here as well for questions and comments. In front of you in your packet is the water rates. I'll have Elisa go ahead and pull it up on the screen behind us so people can see it. But If you look through that on the water fixed cost share, we're proposing no change. And then the water consumption charge, we're asking for a 10% increase there. We do have the SRF loan payment from the first phase of the water. She'll continue looking for that. The first phase of the SRF loan is coming due this year, so that's something that we wanted to make sure that we had enough money to cover. On the sewer side, things are, I'm going to say, much better. We are estimating right now, we're waiting for the final audited 2024 numbers, but with the math that we did and what we're looking at, then what we're assuming will move forward from 2025, it appears that we're going to move out of the sewer deficit phase of trying to get the fund balance back to a positive number. That is something we can talk about a little bit, but with that estimation, we are recommending that we do away with the sewer deficit charge. If it's something the select board would like to see in, I definitely believe we can reduce that moving forward if we wanted to. And then we kept the sewer consumption charge the same. With the rates being changed in Lebanon, we're seeing a drastic decrease in what we're being charged there, along with the I&I project that we did the last couple years. And then we did look to add 2.5% to the sewer fixed costs, trying to get the fixed costs a little higher just to help offset some of our normal today fixed costs. We're never going to get that high enough, I don't think, to completely get consumption on one side and fixed costs on the other. But overall, we're doing pretty well. Like I said, the change in the Lebanon rate has helped us quite a bit. This year, I believe in that area alone, we're almost $100,000 less than what we had budgeted. And then if you look at the bottom, the meter reading fee, we're asking to put in a fee for meter reading for the people who have not moved to the radio feed. We had talked about this last year and a little bit through the year. We put a big push on with announcements asking people to change over, that we would be implementing some sort of fee this next year. We're down to just a few, 9 left that have that. We're hoping that actually pushing towards implementation of this fee will get those 9 people to switch over. And then the municipal sewer connection guide, instead of having the straight fee that we've had in the past, we have the guide in this packet as well. And we can kind of talk about that after, unless you want to talk about it now. It's very similar to what you got before, but there's one section added for the larger developers that give the select board a little bit of flexibility, working with them to pretty much to do projects instead of the connection fee if the select board so wishes.
Is the 10% increase in the water consumption rate pretty well close to the minimum that we need to sustain costs?
Yeah, that's the number that we came up with that we believe will cover the cost of the loan and keep us in a good situation on the water side. As the next loan comes around, which will be a few years from now when it's coming on the rate, we reanalyze these annually, but we'll continue to watch that and analyze that.
Can you describe how this aligns with the forecast that Horizons Engineering did for us on water and sewer rates? We had gotten 2 studies. How does this align with those?
In the past, Jim, can you speak to that a little bit? Or?
Mike.
So yeah, we had asked Horizons to look at the connection fees, number one, and then the rates here. The connection fee study was completed. That was what we based our rate increase on the connection side on, what I presented 2 or 3 meetings ago. And then they have been working on the rate study. They did not do a final project for that or a final thing for that in time for this. But one of the things that came out of it was just our need to perhaps move some of the fee structure so that, fixed costs are paid with fixed rates, and that the variable rates are paid with sort of the consumption charges. So on the water side, we're in pretty good shape that way. But on the sewer side, especially with the reduction in the wastewater treatment, we are doing a lot more on the consumption side than we are on the fixed side. And so we need to start to maybe shift a little bit more, and that's why we had added the 2.1% to the fixed cost share and left the consumption charge alone with the Lebanon deal.
That's one of the things we've talked about working on a little harder over this year, is really dividing out what those costs are. I mean, we can look down quickly and do that, but we want to put a little bit more study in that and look at the fixed costs versus the consumption costs. And like I said, I don't know that we'll get to a point where the fixed costs will fully cover all of our fixed costs that aren't associated with consumption, but I think we can get a lot closer than we are, which will change consumption. And then we also need to keep that at a spot that, I'm going to say, encourages conservation.
Other questions from the board?
I think we need to open the public hearing officially, right?
When you're ready to open the
Ready.
public hearing, if the board wants to talk,
Okay.
you can do that first.
The construction specifications, Jim, where did they come from? Are they from you or from an engineering source?
So basically, that is, they gave us several options on routes to go, and I selected the one in it. These kind of match the way Hanover does things, which sort of takes into account what a potential connection is going to potentially use for their use, and instead of just having these sort of arbitrary numbers, that it will sort of follow so a car wash will pay more than a single family home, and at the moment they both pay the same. So the numbers that we had offered put kind of what our current fee connection is on the lower end. It's sort of about the same, but certainly the ones that are going to be using a lot more, like a development or a business or a restaurant, something like that, those are going to be considerably higher than they are right now. And I mean, rightly so, because they're someone that's coming into the water system who's using 100,000 gallons a quarter instead of 9,000 gallons a quarter, there's an impact there. So
So for looking through the revised fee schedule, for new construction, it's all very clear and easy to calculate. So my question is if somebody were to add, say, an ADU in an existing building, would they be charged the relevant fees during the permitting process? For example, the connection fee is a per gallon based on the calculation. Would an ADU be charged that portion of it?
it would be the increment. So you'd have what you're using now, and then you'd only be responsible for what you add.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it would be included,
Yep.
and they would pay the connection fee for the unit.
That's right.
Percent,
They're not
yep.
starting over. They're just counting for the new use. That's one thing that we don't have now either, is we don't have an ability to, if someone has a connection and it's a house and they convert it to a restaurant, nothing happens now. There's no extra fees there. So, that really needs to be picked up, to be fair to the rest of the users.
Other questions, comments from the board? We need to open a public hearing.
Yes, we do.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Questions, comments from the public? Yes.
I didn't see anything about connection fees changing. Are the connection fees the same, and and what are they? I should say, for a new, like an ADU where you need to make a new connection to the sewer?
Well, I can hit the high level of that if you want a little more detail, then we'll talk to Jim, but it'll be different for every single connection based on a formula of water usage. So as he stated, a car wash coming on will pay more than a small restaurant coming on, which will pay more than a single-family home. The larger development, it'll calculate like on a per bedroom cost down, change that sewer development.
I'm thinking of
charge.
the ADUs that we've been encouraging, so that would be a residential
As
small
Eric,
addition or something,
the
but,
question that Eric just asked was that if you have a house and you add an
Yeah.
ADU,
right,
the connection fee, there would be one for that
but it'd be
there
small, yeah.
wouldn't be now, but it would just be that added income.
I'm thinking of an actual, an ADU that needs its own connection. Maybe it's a unique situation, but it needs a new connection to the sewer.
So it'll be added based on the water consumption, and
Okay.
it'll be somewhere relative to what the connection fees are now.
Yes, Gene?
Jean Patton. So I just have a question, some clarity that I would like to get. When a person has a swimming pool and they fill that thing up in the summer and they get a credit, so does that mean that they don't pay for that water that went into the swimming pool?
They pay for the water, they don't pay for the sewer charge because it's not going down the sewer.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Step right up to the microphone. Yes. I'm sorry.
Just help me a little bit. So,
Can you state your name for the minutes?
excuse me, I'm sorry. So hi, I'm Sharon Beaufait. So I'm just trying to understand if a development came in and say they have 20 units. So do you have a specific written formula or program? I mean, we see these for individuals, but I'm not seeing like a specific formula as to how you would determine 20 units versus 50 units versus 5.
Yeah, there's a multi-page document with a calculation at the end.
Can we maybe pull that up on the screen? I think it's just a little further along. Be a good visual. And it's not simple, so it's not easy to explain without. Right there.
Okay, that's what I needed to see. And that's in your packets? Where would the public receive a copy of that?
It's posted online as well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
But if you look at this rate chart, it shows just different types of gyms, hairdressers, hospitals. They all have a different gallons per day to add into the equation that'll add it up. So if you're getting on the bigger developments and stuff, it'll be kind of based on a residential thing, but it'll be, of course, a lot more bedrooms, something like that. That'll add a higher user fee than a normal one single family residence would.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Other questions or comments from the public? And I shall close the public hearing. Want to make a motion to close it?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, everybody. Next up, we have the approval of.
We have-
the minutes.
We have to adopt it.
We have to either
Oh.
discuss or vote on what you guys want the changes to be.
Yay. Any final comment from the board? All in favor of adopting?
I'll make a motion to adopt the water and sewer rates for 2026 as presented.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Now the approval of the minutes of our previous meeting
I have a
of
couple of
December
corrections.
1st.
For December 1st, we didn't have audiovisual recording at the beginning of the meeting. So under town manager's report, I had asked, at the end, I had acknowledged that we had been remiss in not congratulating Ed on his achievement of becoming an ICMA credentialed manager. So I wanted that in there. And then also I had asked questions about our purchasing policy and the no bid contract that Hess was awarded for. I wanted that in as well, please.
Any other corrections or additions?
I do. On page 1, line 43, says the Enfield Village Association completed their holiday decorations, and there is misspelled.
Anything else?
I'll make a
Aaron?
motion to approve as amended.
Second.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
So sorry. Hi, Sharon Beaufet. So what I gave you tonight, I was at the December 1st meeting, select board meeting, and I made a petition statement. And so when I read the meeting minutes, my points were in the meeting minutes, but there was discussion from the select board regarding what I was requesting. And then there was a specific statement from Ed that's written on here. And none of that made it into the meeting minutes. So it was just as if I presented and you folks had nothing to say. I really don't know what the rest of you said. I don't remember that specifically. But Ed, when I had asked about the possibility of a hydrogeological study, one of the things I remember that you said that really couldn't be done sufficiently unless it was like 1 to 2 years from now. So that information couldn't yet be available related to new development. So if that could be put into the minutes, I would really appreciate it. I don't have anything else to say.
Questions or comments from the board?
You have a motion on the table, so I can withdraw it if you want to make an amendment.
I just had a question for Sharon while you're
Yes.
still there. In the note, Sharon, it says you understood that third-party engineers are working to ensure capacity.
Pardon?
In the notes of the meeting,
Oh, yes.
it does say that you understood that third-party engineers are working on the town's behalf to ensure the capacity.
Well, I know they're doing it for Laramie Farms, but I was looking for 3 to 15 years from now.
I understand that, but of course, the capacity would be identified at this point, and we would know whether it would be sufficient for 15 years based on our own knowledge of developments, et cetera. I just want to make sure that this is representing fairly the gist of what you were trying to get across, that you wanted a third-party engineering company to look at our water capacity, and that is being put in process.
I understand that it's being put in process for Laramie Farms.
Okay.
And I understand you know how much water you have for Laramie Farms.
Okay.
But with these zoning changes coming down the pike, we could have a lot more development in this town with a lot greater water needs. So that's
No
where I
question,
was
but let's
going.
face it, at this point today,
Yeah,
that's all very speculative. There are no specific items that are in front of our committees, planning board, zoning, et cetera, that indicate specific projects other than the Laramie Farms project. So that's all, we can only deal with what we have in front of
Right.
us. The rest of it is properly thought about, but it is still speculative.
right. I'm looking ahead for our community. I'm looking ahead that these zoning changes are going to change our community a lot. And I just want to make sure, I think with Laramie Farms, the water subject didn't come into play until they were halfway through their process. I would rather that the town look proactively. I look at water as the infrastructure of a building. You can't have a development without water. So to me, water comes before the development. So that's just, I'm just looking ahead.
Go ahead with the motion if you want.
Do we have a motion?
Well, so you have a motion on the table right now.
Okay.
Do you want to withdraw and rewrite something?
Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have board reports. Alice, would you like to start out today?
I have nothing new to report tonight.
Thank you. Eric?
The planning board had a marathon meeting where we got through the final draft of the zoning for publication prior to the public hearing, which is coming right up. I think it's been published online now, though I forgot to check before coming. But I know the draft was, Dan's giving me the thumbs up. So yes, the draft is available online now for review prior to the public hearing.
The Budget Committee met last Thursday. It was a complex meeting. And we're going to be talking about it more tonight. I will just say that I have 153 pages of budget at the moment. More than enough. However, I would say this. Budget Committee is really looking very carefully at this. Our Chair, Dimitri, is really painstaking in his approach. And when we're done, I think we're going to have a very strong budget and one that Dimitri can present with confidence and present a tax rate with confidence. I'm sure that both he and Ed will have more to say tonight. Thank you.
I'll defer my energy meeting notes as we'll be discussing in a few minutes.
I had a scheduling conflict, so I was not able to attend the Conservation Commission meeting that moved back to its original date. But the video is on YouTube if any of you are interested.
Okay, next up we have the town manager's report.
Thank you. Wanted to update the board and the public that we have received a resignation from Emily Curtis. She will be resigning mid-January.
Thank you.
Though we hate to see Emily leave her position, we were kind of aware that this was probably upcoming. Emily has decided to return to school and pursue a degree in nursing, and we wish her the best in this future endeavor. We have started the search process. There's advertisements out. If someone would be interested in that position, please apply. And I can let the select board know we have multiple applications in hand already, and some of them are very well qualified. So,
For the record, I think the board will acknowledge that Emily was an excellent employee and will be very sad to see her leave.
and as I mentioned to the board in my email, that we are continuing to work with her to help in the transition, and then also to work with her if there's some smaller things she can do on the town's behalf in the future, because she was is a very good employee. Love to continue working with her as we can. I'd like to move on. I would like to inform the board and the public that, and thank the residents of Crystal Lake. You guys may or may not have heard, but a lot of the residents went above and beyond this summer, working hard to increase the number of recognized Lake Smart properties. Some of the data that came out in our recent newsletter was that 34 properties received Lake Smart property tours this year. Of that, 23 of those properties earned their Lake Smart award, and 11 of them are currently working to do a little bit of upgrades to get that. The amount of properties that did receive the Lake Smart award pushed Crystal Lake into an area where they received a Lake Smart Community Award from the state of New Hampshire and was recognized. It's also, just to give you some more statistics, it's a big accomplishment because those 23 awards that went to the Crystal Lake residents were 23 of the 100 that New Hampshire gave state. So I would like to thank residents that worked hard around Crystal Lake. I'd like to thank Shirley Green for setting this up and encouraging people to apply for this, and just all the hard work that went on around Crystal Lake to make sure that we're doing what they can do to protect the water.
That's really outstanding. Speaks well for the residents of the lake and also for the residents of Enfield in general.
Wanted to update the board on the audit. I have talked with Tim Green about the audit. He stated we should have a draft audit by the end of the month. Have it yet, but it's coming. I am working with him to get the legal letter and other items that we can start working on that we usually do after the draft comes out, so we can speed that process up. The one thing I can let the board know is when the draft comes out, it's very, very rarely that any of the numbers in that change or any of the financial findings. So we will get that out to the board as soon as it comes through, and then we will work hard to get the final audit back out. It's usually just a lot of work on our side, preparing the management letter, getting the legal letter, those types of things. We will work hard as soon as it comes out to get that final, but as soon as the draft comes out, we will get that to you and line up the auditors to come in and give a presentation to the select board and budget committees. A few weeks ago, we had the discussion about painting turtles on Crystal Lake Road. I did put a memo in front of you guys explaining it a little bit more, but as we had the little test turtles painted on the road, we looked at them, talked with DPW, we looked a little bit deeper in the MUTCD and what is allowed there. Using artwork is allowed on roadways, but it is not allowed as a traffic control device. And then it also states in the regulations that any center line must be a yellow painted line. So, so it was a really nice try and idea for something creative. We cannot use it as a center line down Crystal Lake Road. Artwork can be used in intersections, crosswalks, those kind of things within some certain parameters. Wanted to let people know and the select board that if you look in the back rooms here in the bathrooms, we do have some tiles missing. During our extreme cold weather last week, we found a partition in the wall outside that they did not seal properly, so we did have one frozen water line up there. They're in the midst of repairing that. They're going to be back to repair all the tiles and stuff that got wet when it thawed out. But it's under warranty and they're working on it, but it is one of those things that we found that they missed during that extreme cold weather. On to some department updates. Land use, as Eric mentioned, that we're holding the first required planning board zoning amendment hearing on Wednesday 17th, this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. This meeting will take place in the DPW conference room, and there may likely be a second hearing that'll be needed that is tentatively scheduled for January 21st, same time, same location. Rob attended the New Hampshire Planners Association annual meeting on Friday, December 25th in Manchester. It's the annual meeting for the group that met here this summer. And Rob heard lots of good feedback from the Enfield-hosted Planners Association meeting, and people were very impressed by what Enfield was able to show. We are working with Jim Kelleher. Some of you may have heard that Kitchen 56 has decided not to renew their lease moving forward. We're working with Jim Kelleher and multiple different prospects on getting another restaurant to fill that space. Anybody knows of somebody that may want to open a restaurant in Enfield, please send them our way and we will work with them and Mr. Kelleher to see if we can't make something work. But we do have a few prospects right now and we'll continue working on that, see if we can fill that. Rob and I coordinated a meeting this last month between the Laramie Farms developers and representatives at Dartmouth Health's Workforce Development Office. It was a very good meeting to get together. Most of the meeting was listening to Dartmouth and talk about their housing needs, where they're placing people, what they're hearing back from the people that they're placing in apartments, condos, and different places around the Upper Valley. It was very good information, not only for us to hear, but I think the developers took a lot away from that conversation. So as Laramie Farms continues to move forward, if they get their final approvals, they have a lot better idea of what's needed in our area. So it appears that Bark and Bevy Restaurant will have their grand opening on January 15th. So tentatively put that on your calendars if you'd like to attend the grand opening of Bark and Bevy and welcome them to Enfield. And then the ZBA has one scheduled hearing so far for January 13th for a variance to allow a replacement of a grandfathered structure or camp to be replaced by a larger house along Algonquin Road. Public safety, the police department and Police Benevolent Association worked with the school district to provide some help to make 8 Enfield family Christmases a little bit better by helping with food and presents. All members of the PD completed an update to certify in first aid, CPR, and AED last week. In the emergency services, Enfield Public Safety Facility will be in a new host for EMT and EMTA, EMT recertification classes on a regular basis. We worked out a deal with the company that provides that, and the first class will start in January of this year. We're excited to start using that building for some good training.
Will that be advertised on the listserv and also on the town website?
I'm sure it will be, as we're going to offer it to our public safety people first, see if we want to get people put in, and then we'll advertise the class, and it'll also be open regionally and across the state that want to attend. It will be a daytime class this time, which is a little different. There's nighttime classes all around the region, and this company was really happy to be able to provide a daytime that can't make all those evening classes. And the FAST Squad will be hosting a regional continuing education put on by Dartmouth DHMC Emergency Medicine at the Public Safety Building in February. This will be a regional training open for all surrounding departments. I'd like to recognize Chief Neely. He came up with an idea through the Enfield Fire Department and coordinated with our police department on a new strategy for deploying ice and winter ice emergency equipment during lake response. This new strategy should save precious time that matters a great deal in this response. Again, it's putting everybody in the same building. They came up with a strategy where the police that are stationed at the police station and there during the day can grab the equipment and get it to the site of the emergency, saving precious time during one of those emergencies. So just wanted to thank him for thinking outside the box a little bit and thinking as a public safety department a little more than just the fire department. The new tanker will be delivered 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we've inspected it, I think, last week. We've done the paperwork to get the money in order, all of that, and the tanker will be delivered tomorrow. We will be working to transfer equipment, do all that, and the old tanker will be to service once we get that equipment done. And then we're also looking at a possible push-in ceremony for the new tanker sometime after the first. And as you guys remembered, you guys approved selling the old tanker to the department in Kentucky. We've been in contact with them. Have the money on the way, and the title will be transferred as we pull that out of service.
And they come up and get that, is that correct?
They will be coming up to get that. We did agree with them that we will store it through the winter, and they'll come after the weather. We'll store it in the Enfield Center Station, but it will be out of service. It'll be in their name. It'll be insured in their name, and we will not be used. The Enfield Fire Department will be loaning Grafton Fire Department a 4-gas meter. Their 4-gas meter went down. We have a spare one, so we thought it would be great as a mutual aid partner. Allow them to use that while I think they've already purchased their other one, but it's multiple weeks out before they. On the DPW front, the small generator from Whitney Hall here is in the process of being, oh no, this is the public safety generator. It was set on the new pad at December 10th and is in the process of being connected by Defiance Electric and Dead River. Put that in the DPW part because they did the work to pour the pad and to put the generator in place for us. We thank them for doing that, and that project continues to move forward. The new highway staff is adapting well to the new plow routes. Things are going well so far there. The required McConnell well uranium mailing was completed recently. The grant for the plow truck that we received from the state, the plow truck is to be delivered later this week. So we're a bunch of new equipment over the next week or so. And then the small surplus generator, as I said, from Whitney Hall is being repurposed for use as a standby generator at the Marsh Well and should be operational in our. And then finally, recreation. The Enfield tree lighting was held at Hughes Park on the 6th of December. We had a good turnout. The tree lighting and the lighting of the DB lights went fairly well. There was a little problem with the DB lights, but we got that worked out. I'd like to thank everybody who participated and was part of that event. We have been throwing around some ideas for festivities next year, and we welcome ideas from the select board or the public on ways to make that event a little better. Then we do continue to work with Devin and fine-tuning the lights and timers in the park, and have discussed with him that we will debrief the season in February and discuss the possibility of continuing this effort into. I say it this way, Todd has finally received information from Whaleback on the ski program for this year. Registration is now open for the Kids After School program. We have learned that the program will be limited to the 2 ground lifts, so the bottom part of the mountain will be open. Please contact Todd or Whaleback if you need more information. And then just a little update to the last meeting, we have reached out to Primex and they stated a no lifeguard on duty sign at the beach would be okay. And then Todd and I are looking into some different life-saving devices. We want to see if we can find something out there that won't be vandalized or used as toys on the beach. We'll continue looking into that, but Primex did give us okay to put.
Thank you very much. Next up, the business of the evening, and we begin with the community power update.
Thank you. Kim Quirk, co-chair with Joel and Courtney of the Enfield Community Power Committee. 2 things that I'd like to just bring to your attention this evening. Rate setting every 6 months approximately. We do rate setting for community power in Enfield, and we as the town of Enfield have the option of choosing a local rate or going with the CPCNH granite basic rate. Can you hear me? Okay, so that is happening this Thursday, is the board meeting that decides on the rates. Tentatively, what it looks like right now is Liberty, which is I think 90-something% of our community, will have a rate of about 13.7 cents, And Community Power's Granite Basic hasn't been decided yet, but on Thursday we'll be choosing, and I think the range is going to be 13.6 to as high as 14.6 cents. So we won't know until Thursday. But in either case, the local rate, if Enfield was to use a local rate, would be 0.2 of a cent higher and probably would put us over the Liberty rate. So we're recommending that we just go with the Granite Basic rate this time. Any questions about rates? And just to remind people, Ed Morris is our a spokesperson for the town of Enfield, but he looks to the select board for direction if you want him to choose something different for the rate. This would be the time. And that's what the committee recommends, is that we'll go with the Granite Basic rate. And if I see on Thursday that it's going to be much lower or something or much higher, then I'll call you. But otherwise, the general idea is if the 0.2 of a cent brings us over the Liberty rate, then we wouldn't choose it. We would stay with the Granite Basic. Any questions about that? Okay. The second piece is I just want to inform the select board about what's called a refresh, which when we chose as Enfield to be part of Community Power, what happened, we assumed that new residents who moved into Enfield would just automatically be put on Community Power because that's what we chose as a town. Unfortunately, that's not possible in the utilities from the utilities perspective. So a new person comes into the town and they immediately get put on Liberty or Eversource or New Hampshire Electric Co-op's default service. And so then what happens, we do what we call a refresh periodically, which sends out a mailer to all those new people telling them that they're going to be moved to Community Power. They have an option to opt out if they want to. So we describe that process. And then about a month or two later, they actually start getting Community Power. So that's happening in March is the next one, but it hadn't happened for a little while. So I just wanted to make the committee aware and the town, because if you get questions about why did my rate change, at least you can say, if you were new in town, then the Community Power will transfer you after a few months. And I can't say exactly how long that takes, but any questions about that? Great, that's all I have.
Actually, I have
Oh,
one.
yes, sorry.
Is that for any new account or new meters? Or how do they determine what is new?
Well, whenever you move into a new town, you have to set up a new account with your electricity provider, with the utility. That's considered a new account. Or that's considered, that would need to be refreshed in order to get them into Community Power.
Okay, so if an existing customer got a new meter, what happened then?
I guess the question might be, why did they get a new meter? There's not too many reasons why you get a new meter. Maybe you get upgraded from residential to commercial, or
I'm
solar
asking,
meter.
but by doing a large renovation, they put a new meter on our temporary power.
Okay.
So that's why I'm curious.
Possibly. I think that's a possibly. And when you look at your
I'll have to
bill,
check.
and this is what we can tell people, if they look at their electricity bill, there's an area that says who supplies your power. And if it's Community Power, we'll say Community Power is your supplier. And if anybody has any questions about that, you can send them to Joellen or myself, and we'll help them look at their electric bill. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thank you very much. Next up, we have the 2025 annual report discussion.
Okay, so each year you have to decide what you want on the cover and who you want to dedicate it to. That is a decision you'll need to make rather than later. We do have until the week before the March vote, have the town report ready. So time in January, early January, if I have a draft of that sort of thing. Did come up with a cover subject as we were here tonight. Rancor would be a nice cover shoot.
Might be
But
fun.
just a thought. I did provide you with a draft of section that I did.
So I don't know if the select board would want to have a discussion tonight or think about it, but I think it's something that we need to start discussing.
I like the one sample page we got. Good candidate. I don't know if it's public, we can talk about. All right. This is a picture of Jimmy Proctor, whom I think we all know, often called the mayor of Enfield Center, an energetic individual, committed to the community and to the town of Enfield, good businessman. I like him as a candidate, but I'm sure we have to think about other candidates also. But that would set a high standard for us. Thank you. Other comments from the board? Yes.
Yes, I wanted to get back to the schedule. I was thinking about it after last meeting. I think we should target having the full town report ready prior to the deliberative session. There's nothing in the back part that would change between, and then we would only have to republish any changes that were made at the deliberative session, which would likely be small. So I know that's a big challenge, but I do think that having it ready and all the stuff ready prior is a good idea, because that's where people will be sitting with a book in their lap, looking through the report. It's not going to be in the voting booth that they're looking through the report in their lap.
The hard part there is up until the last week of January, we're having budget hearings. We're having their final zoning hearing possibly on the 21st. The copy place can't print it in a week and a half. I mean, so we're not going to have all of that information in there. I think having the actual town report would be, I'm going to say, impossible. We won't have most of our year-end financials done, so if you want any of the year-end financial information in there, it won't be, but I think that was the next section on here. I think we can do the budget, the warrant narrative, the CIP. We can do all the stuff that we normally use during the town meeting portion. To actually have a bound town meeting report book and coming out of budget hearing and those things, they should be able to make changes to the budget. Would not be able to happen.
Yeah, I very much agree with that position, because I think trying to meet that demand for a fat book would put an incredible burden on the town. Almost impossible, I think, to fulfill.
Can I ask the wild question? Have we ever considered not printing the rest of the fat book? Right? I mean, this is a huge expense. We have limited how we have them delivered over the years instead of throwing them away and then paying. I mean, we print them and then we pay to recycle them. I think the reports are lovely, and I think I might be one of the folks who's in the minority, and I sit and stare at that darn book and I read it. But I could do that online. We could potentially print book and addendum. I get that it's a time crunch. I get that. What do other towns do? Do they print a book that's like the town Bible for the year? Because that's what this looks like. And at what point are we committed enough to wanting to do it that we do it within a time frame that it's a document? I think Eric's onto something. It's not really super useful after the deliberative. And when you roll into the school meeting, you go into the school meetings with the entire document. So I'm having a hard time, like, what's the point of printing it afterwards? Other than it makes us feel good and we did it.
Other comments from the board?
Can I just ask a question? Would it be more feasible if it was electronic?
If it was what?
Electronic?
It might be a little bit more. I said those last changes, if they happen, will happen. We will have a big chunk of it done, but some of your financial stuff, some of your trustee of trust funds information won't be ready to print it in time. So if you want that in there,
So I think that's a really important point that you just brought up, Elisa, and I don't think that it should be said quietly. We don't have the staff to do it. So that's important for us all to know. Then I also want to say, like, this is not unusual, but this is the first year we're doing it this way. So we're going to have to test things that are different, uncomfortable. We might make some mistakes, but we have to like acknowledge what the needs are and the imperfections and say, okay, so we'll do our best this year and what can we do better next year?
I think you make a really good point that we can't do things the way we've always done them. We're going to have to do some things radically different this year. And also that we have to think carefully about our staffing needs as we move into the future.
The other problem that you have is that the warrant is not finalized until the deliberative session, and that gets printed in the town report. It's the final warrant.
I think we need to approach this differently. We need to stop pretending this is town meeting. This does not look like town meeting, does not have the same time. And we need to stop walking right up to deadlines and coming in late with things. We've known what the calendar looks like. It's prescribed by law. And so I feel like even though it's hard, this all has to be printed in advance. We have to have a document going into deliberative session that is a whole document. And the school districts all do this every year. They go in with their budget. It is printed. And you know what? A bunch of us sit there with a little crayon and we are like, hey, you know what? This little tiny change was made. Or maybe it's a big change, right? So, and then there's another printing. So I'm not saying it's a whole printing, but there is an update. It goes out. And we can't just not do it and say, oh, it's too late. Oh, we don't have time. We're going to have to figure this out. And it's
no, when we put in your packet what we were planning on printing, and it's the warrant narrative, the budget, the CIP, any information on the stuff that's actually on the warrant. And then what normally goes in the town report besides that is all the financials, the updated reserve numbers, the trust fund numbers, and then all your reports in the back and some other stuff. And we planned on providing that whole front financial package online and some printed for people to pick up in the town office. It just won't go through a professional printer and bound in a town report until after. The state deadline says SB2 towns, the town report should be due by March 3rd. We want to get it done before that, but there's no way to get it printed and bound and in place by the first weekend in February.
I mean, I'm personally not asking you to print a Bible and have it back. I'm asking you for the deliverables. I don't care what they look like. I don't care if they come off a copier.
And those are all in your packet. If we want to add one or two things here and there, one thing we did talk about today was we have the town meeting rules and regulations in the town report. We'll put that in the deliberative session packet. It's there for the deliberative session to go through. And the majority of the meat of your town report, of the financial part, will be printed. It has to be delivered as soon as possible after those last meetings.
So there's a few items that it sounds like won't be ready, like the trustee of trust funds. Are those mandated to be in the town report? And what do other towns do that publish their town reports prior to?
I've asked the question to see on our manager's lister, but I have not got any information back. I can reach out to some individual towns that I know do it. I'm sure they don't print an entire town report.
So Canaan has SB2, don't they? Town meeting. So I think they'd be they don't have a huge staff. Maybe we could ask them. They certainly seem to get their stuff done and published.
What's the limiting factor on getting things like the trustee of trust funds information available?
They just have to get through end of the year, get their bank statements, get everything in order and put it together.
We're talking about like a 2-week difference. This isn't a months-long audit type thing. This is a couple of weeks we're talking about. And Alice is right. This year may be a little messy, but
I'll do a little more research on what some of the other towns across the state put out for that. Like I said, I've asked the question, I haven't got any answers. I'll
But,
a little more data on that, but I
and,
just look at that time frame. A week, it takes 3 weeks to get a printed copy, so.
well, there are other printers. But there's also, I do think we can figure out a way to get that information faster and in a timely manner. Some of the changes, like any changes to the budget, those have to be processed regardless of what format we present it in. So that's not a reason to pick a format. Things like the trustee of trust funds, going forward, we need to give them a sooner date. They can't be waiting until the end. And if we need more time between the budget hearing and the printing, in the future, we need to bring the budget hearing forward. The budget schedule's got to shift to accommodate that need. And I think regardless of what it is, our primary printing should be the one prior to the deliberative session, and anything after that would be supplemental, not the other way around.
I fully agree, Eric.
Yeah, I agree. And for the deliberative session, we should be printing only what is essential for that meeting.
But, however, the vast majority of the back half, the only reason, like the report from the Conservation Commission, there's no reason for that to not be ready.
I agree. I think if we are to send out an email tomorrow, and give everyone a deadline and set a standard expectation, and if you don't make the expectation, then you don't get printed in the book. Maybe you end up online, in an online version, but you don't make the book. And people are going to have to start meeting deadlines and working to these deadlines and not coming in late. I think sometimes during, especially, I'm going to pick on COVID, we'll go back. We were pretty lenient, but I think we need to stop being so lenient on these things. Writing a one-page report, yeah, I've done it quite a few times. I know you guys all have. It's not super fun. It can take a couple hours. But if we told people now you need it by term now, committees are already talking about it. Conservation talked about it in October and November. So they know they have to do it. And I'd go a step further and I'd say to them, if you need to, if it makes your life easier, you tell them you get one page in Arial size 11 font. The reason I'm saying that is because it's a standard font that's easy to read, right? And then if they go over, you're like, hey, it didn't fit, so I cut off the end. Because I think part of the problem with preparation of documents, at least in my experience, is that people give you a mishmash of something that you just can't print, and then you have to do a refund. So maybe setting the expectation it has to be formatted to fit the page, or it's going to be unreadable. We have to do some of those things to help our office staff by setting standard expectations, and I think it needs to be done up front.
Tracy, what do you think?
It's a difficult subject. I think there are things that can be eliminated from the town report, but there's a good point to be made about the committee reports being included in the initial document that we provide the deliberative session, as Kate has pointed out. Standard verbatim from the various standing committees that should be submitted by the end of this month at the very latest. And these should be included in the document. I won't call it a town report, but the document which we can distribute at the deliberative session. And then I don't think we need a follow-up document other than a document which identifies any changes which were made at the deliberative session voting day, so that it's not the second half of the document. For example, one of the things that I can see sacrificing this year will be the audit. It will barely be known to us in any way, shape, or form by the end of this month, and certainly would not be available for printing. So it's got to go, and that uses up about 25 pages right there. All of these things can be put online later.
I agree. Whatever we can put online, we should put online without printing it.
Without printing. These things can be available for the rest of the year for those people that want to look at it.
However, my bottom line personally remains, like us to keep it as simple as we possibly can.
Agreed.
Because this is uncharted territory for us.
To simplify and maybe expedite, it'd be lovely, I think, if we could pick a dedicate. So the remembrance of Jimmy Proctor, I think, is awesome. Typically, we do those for folks who are served on a town committee or say on the fire department. Maybe it would make our life easier to dedicate the book to him. I took a quick run through Enfield obituaries, and I didn't see any member, and I could have missed them, right? Everyone. I didn't see that we lost any of our public safety folks, volunteers who I knew well over the years. If it was someone's name I recognized, I did a quick Google to see if they were on committee or commission. It doesn't mean I nailed it. I tried to prepare in advance, usually, to have this discussion, and I usually come up with some ideas, and I came up with nothing other than Jimmy. And so when I saw him in the packet, I really feel like maybe just dedicate it to his memory, make it easy, do what Elisa said with the picture with where the dog, and I think that gets one thing off the plate instead of pushing it out. I don't know how you guys feel.
Rest of you feel about that?
I feel good about it.
Yes? Tracy?
I think that's essentially fine, although I certainly would not mind seeing a photograph of our safety department personnel.
Okay.
Perhaps
to
ask
vote?
Chief what he wants to do.
We all agreed.
I would just make a motion of what you guys want on.
I agree with Kate that the dedication, Mr. Proctor, is certainly the right way to do it. That's well written the way that it is right now from my read. And I think we dedicate the deliberative session pamphlet or program, whichever you want to call it, to him.
So can we assume we have
I'll
a
make a
motion?
motion to
Second?
dedicate the report to the memory of James W. Proctor, and then make the cover subject to include new police dog Rancor.
Second.
Sorry,
In favor?
can I ask one more question? I'm sorry.
Of course.
Like, so it looks like the dedication is separate from remembering. Are we combining them? Yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. That ends our annual report discussion. Next up, we have the 2026 deliberative session discussion.
We covered some of that, but in your packet is a preliminary warrant.
Yeah.
To look through, and make any discussion on it. We also have a very rough draft narrative warrant in there. There'll be some changes made to that, make it a little more robust and better, but just wanted to get those in front of you guys to look through them, see if you're okay with what's on there, and if there's anything we'd like to add to that on.
Well, I assume that the CIP report would have the current numbers, not the speculative numbers that you've written.
Yes.
Before. That's what I thought. That's fine.
Tight schedule.
Would we have slides of the CIP for the deliberative session? Okay.
I think Dimitri gets first prize for having his report.
It's last year's report.
That's all last year's? Oh.
Yeah. That was just representative of the stuff we wanted to put in for
But
deliberative session.
oh. Yeah.
Just not quite half, but a big chunk of the town.
Well, the CIP slides, as I have them, are pretty well done.
So as you look through the warrant, yeah, Article 8 is to close the municipal facilities maintenance equipment capital reserve, and then if you look at Article 9, there's $15,000 in there. You guys where we were asking to place that money? Or not close it at all. Right now, we're put in there to move it to the capital and capital reserve.
Article 9 from last year.
And if you read the red on the next page, it kind of talks about it.
You lost me. Red on the next page, which is, again, last year's numbers.
I
I
think,
see he's forward. It's labeled as page 91.
Thank you.
that's where I got confused too.
So the $15,076, which would come from the unassigned fund balance, is from 2023?
No, when you close the municipal facility maintenance reserve, if that's closed at SB2 meeting,
Oh, okay, well then.
by law, it has to go into fund balance.
Then I think it should be better identified where it's from, not just unassigned fund balance. It needs the description.
I think those are DRA wordings of how they need to be worded.
Okay, then then there can be a narrative with it.
Yes.
It's fine.
I think the explanation in red at the top of page, it's 94 on the printed copy, has a reference to Article 7 and 8. I think 7 is the article, if I'm reading it correctly, that has police recruitment and retention bonus.
It should be Article 8.
Okay,
Things got moved around a little.
okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
Okay, this clearly needs some explanation. So if you look at Article 8, it talks about discontinuing the municipal facilities maintenance and equipment capital reserve. It was created in 2012. There's roughly $15,076 in that account. If you choose to close it, it has to go into unassigned fund balance, and you would have the next article do something with it. If you wanted to add it to the CIP as a separate article, you could do that. Or you could, when you raise the money for the CIP of $613,835, which is Article 6, you could instead reduce that by the amount from fund balance. You have that option. You could just leave the account alone and use it for a municipal project and spend it down to zero, similar to the way you did the sidewalk capital reserve fund. You expended it in full, then you closed it. So this is just giving you some options of what you can do with that fund that has just that small amount of money in it. That could go into CIP, not.
The routine in the past has to move those small sums into CIP.
Mhm.
That seems like a pattern to just keep going.
The only thing you have with SB2 is you're not discussing this with people when they're voting. You're discussing it with them at the deliberative session.
I
So there
understand.
is the possibility that you'll close the fund, it'll go to unassigned fund balance, and then they won't approve it to go to CIP. And it'll just be in fund balance, which is all right too.
Which is, so be it.
Ed, we do something about fan up there? Thank you.
Wouldn't we add it to Article 6 and not take it out? Because we're gonna, well, we wouldn't raise an appropriate, we want the funds to transfer into capital improvement.
It's an option. I think it
It's
might-
convoluted because you have to take it from two places.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you could have one article to raise and appropriate, whatever the two combined is, with some from taxation and the remainder from unassigned fund balance. But you have to be sure that that account is closed before you do that. If they don't vote to close the account, but then they vote to take it from unassigned fund balance, put it into the capital reserve,
The
stuck using unassigned fund balance.
the way it's done is appropriate, and it's the most clear way to do it. So
Yeah.
Yep.
we should do it this way.
That's the way I see it.
Say SB2 will make a few of these things a little more difficult, where we've done things in the past where if this passes, then we make an amendment, change things. That, we won't be able to do that anymore.
Correct, but if it doesn't pass, we can always propose moving the money to CIP next year as well. We do have future options to put before town meeting.
If we want to, we can go through these a little more. If you guys see, I think we've talked about Article 3 is to expand and clarify the purpose of the 1900. Alternate wording below, we will work with our attorney to get exact wording, but that's the $1.1 million for the sewer fund. As we explained, that the ARPA funds completely paid for the I&I project, so we don't need $1.9 million. Unfortunately, due to state law, we can't rescind the $1,900 for 5 years. We need to wait a couple more years for that, but we will ask for the borrowing of the 1.1. The one thing I can tell you, and we can put in the narrative, is ERA will not let us spend the 1.9 because the project it was allocated for is already done. That's the reason we're going back to talk 1.1 million. So it's not like we'll have authority to do both, and we could do both. We cannot do the one that's done. They've actually closed our SRF application. So if you guys are okay with that, we'll continue working with our attorney to get that dialed in. Article 4 is the budget. We know. Six-wheel truck, sorry.
bless you.
So appropriating the sum of $280,000 from the budget. Article 5 is the operating budget. Article 6 is the CIP as normal. Article 7 is appropriating $20,000 to be added to the police recruitment fund. That's coming from this year's budget. We have money left over from salaries of that, which we would like to add to the police recruitment fund. Replenish that, our recruiting efforts. Just talked about 8 and 9.
The only thing on 10 that I notice, it's a little unclear that we're not at this time committing all of the funds from the Union Street Fire Station and Depot Street ambulance properties to the repairs at 19 Main Street. They are potential source of some funds. But I want it to be clear somehow that we're not, by Article 10, saying that all those monies then go to the police station.
Yeah, I think that might be something we want to wait on.
Yeah, I don't think we're ready for Article 10.
I don't think we can do this. We're not going to have a closing before year end, so we can't commit 2026 funds.
Well, and we don't have a
We don't have a plan.
plan for the police station or a budget, which I should have.
The other
too.
thing we can do is go back to the CIP and eliminate it. It's in that budget. Right now, it's listed in the CIP, $100,000.
Yeah, so we have some ways that we can, but yeah, it should be eliminated. Article 11 is just voting to discontinue the water meter backflow capital reserve. I don't know if we talked about that too much in here, but it has not really been being used the way that it was set up for. We do have a capital reserve in the water, and we budget annually meters to go in. So the money that's coming in, that meter program is still offsetting that, having an additional fund.
We identify the approximate sum in Article 11, or do we not even mention it?
We can look it up. We can put what's approximate in there, but if we close the fund, it's going to roll back into the water, whatever's. in
No, I agree. I just want folks to have an idea of what they're talking about.
Probably in the narrative and not the actual
Right.
article.
Yes.
And then I think 12 can go away.
We don't have to do that this cycle.
We don't have a negotiated agreement and we won't.
Won't in time. In the future, it should go to the top, though. It shouldn't be buried this far. It's such a substantial amount of money.
And the Walk a Mile grant program, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. We did talk about putting this on the ballot. Through my research and working with the state, having them do some research, because it's funded through the federal government, through the state and back around to us, we are not allowed to use in-kind or third-party donations to offset that, so it'll be a complete out-of-pocket expense. There may be a little way that we can do some sort of fundraising or something and have money in the pot to do that, but it's not going to be a substantial decrease. I didn't know if the select board wanted to leave this on as a article to discuss, or if they wanted a decision to not do the project, or whatever you guys wanted to do, or we can add it to a future agenda item as well.
I think it's fair to identify, if we do keep Article 13, the sums we're speaking of, so that folks can specifically know what they're voting on.
You can put that in the narrative as well.
I think it's a substantial amount of money, the 20% match, since we're not allowed to do in kind. But it's also a substantial amount of money to give up 80% of the grant fund. So I think having that discussion in a large public forum, to me, makes sense. I agree with Tracy on getting the amount published and then having a discussion. I certainly would like to hear what people think.
Exactly. And that's what we discussed in the CIP group, how we would ask for an article here. And I think if the narrative shows the approximate sums that we're speaking of, then, and the mention of the fact that it's basically 2027, not 2026, regardless.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of work to be done still.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something I can talk to the attorney about to see if there's a way we can put that in there, because I think it's important to have it on the back.
I agree. People should vote on it, weigh in.
Moving on. Article 14 is rescinding the authority to borrow the $40,000, the sidewalk improvements, and $129,584 for public works building improvements. Everything on those lists have been done, and we have not used that. Or at least everything on the list that was sold to the voters. We did this. And then Article 15 authorized step gifts. Article.
Are we required to put this on at some kind of interval?
I think we vote on that. Starting. Doesn't have to go on.
Oh, it says readoption eliminates the need for a public hearing on donations valued below $5,000.
If we leave it alone and don't put it on, we keep doing things the way we have been doing.
We can vote on this meeting warrant once you've had a chance to shape it up at the first meeting in January.
Yeah, this is just a draft, go through, talk about them.
And so we keep to the schedule by voting on it in the first meeting in January. That's sufficient for what we need. Am I correct? Is it feasible for you to send out the copy before the first meeting in January with a day or two's notice so that we can absorb it a little bit better? In other words, we'll vote on it the first meeting in January, but I'd like a little more notice than just a day in order to look at it, if possible.
Yeah, you got it as part of the packet last week, but we'll make a few edits to it and we can get it to you as soon as we have it updated.
Like the prior Thursday, is that?
Yeah, we usually send them out the Thursday before.
Yeah, I guess that'd be fine.
Well, Wednesday works too.
Wednesday is fine. Wednesday's good. For the next meeting. It's the problem.
New Year's Eve.
I know.
Yeah, Thursday is New Year's Day.
We'll get it to you before then.
That's all I meant by my questioning was it's a very complicated week.
Get it to you.
Okay.
Are we done with this discussion? Yes?
That was deliberative, yeah, we have.
Still have
Next
Default
up, we have
budgets.
year-end encumbrances.
the default budget's in front of you on this subject as well. This is mainly for you guys to look at. I don't know that we really need to go through it all. There are notes on the side if you'd like to look at why we did them. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them tonight, or you guys at any time can email me and we can go through stuff at the next meeting as well if you'd like. We probably should vote on the default budget at the next meeting as well, because it's technically the select board's default budget. The budget committee puts forward.
It's pretty clear and to the point.
It is, we have a couple things we're gonna just verify, but for the most part, it's really pretty cut and dry. If it's a contracted price, we put the contracted price in there. Whether it goes up or down, we put the contracted price in there. If it's a one-time project, like the outfitting of this room, we pull it out of the budget. Other than that, the line item goes right across to the other side, whether it's higher or lower than what the recommended budget.
Any further questions or comments on that whole section on the deliberative session discussion? Moving on then to year-end encumbrances.
On the back of your warrant, if you don't see it.
What page is that on?
Page 96. It's on the back of 90. So if you found it, we're asking for encumbrances for the Crystal Lake Watershed Management Plan. We put that in the budget when it's voted to brought in, and as you guys know, we've been awarded the grant, but we haven't finished. That'll be expended in a future item. We will be talking with the auditors about moving it to a grant line.
It's not actually pending state approval, is it? What it says here.
Yes and no. I mean, we've gotten the grant, but we do have to go through an application process before it's finally awarded. Technically, yes, but.
Pending bureaucracy.
And the vendor's still pending, because we have to do an RFP process after we get forward. Usually we have to list the vendor for the auditors of who we're contracted with that work.
Pending final application and assignment of vendor.
Yeah. We're asking for that $100,000 to be encumbered. We're asking for $15,500 of the admin software contract. It was from this year that did not paid yet. It may get paid before here, but we want to roll that over so we add it next year. And CIA Technologies tax mapping that we do it has not been done yet. That rolled over.
I'll make a motion to encumber $100,000 for the Crystal Lake Watershed Management Plan, $15,500 for financial software, and $3,900 for tax map updates as presented.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
Just a quick question on the tax map updates. Does that get reflected on the GPS?
Yes. Annual update. We did implement this year new software so we can upload some information to that, so we can do some deeds, and we're going to start doing some building permits, septic plan, those types of well.
Good.
And we won't have to wait for them everything. We can get it updated a little bit.
We can do that through our own assessing clerk. Great.
Okay, next up, we have financial report.
So in front of you is the monthly financial report, as we normally do. I won't go into great detail explaining this, but as we've been talking, we're coming in under budget on expenses, and we've already been over on revenues. We're ending the year in a good financial position from a budget standpoint. Total cash on hand is getting better, as we'd mentioned in the past. Rate coming out a little late, we were getting a little close with cash. And as of December 9th, we had $4,677,612.72 total on hand, with a little over $2 million of that in the general operating and the sweep. The savings sweep, which is the building fund, is $2.4 million. Town clerk is $54,000, and then the tax savings account of $1,000, just with taxes go. payroll paid. We do have the Grafton County 1.164426 bill coming up week, so that'll be paid out of that and continue to have school and all the other.
How does that Grafton County tax payment get paid? Is it a check?
Check with 2 signatures on it, and the last 2 years we have had someone up and been lucky the last couple of years. We've had people anyway, and we give them the time to hand deliver it, and then I'd rather not mail that.
Yeah.
With that, everything else is pretty much the same. You'll see a little bit of a change to the tax collector portion down there. Will be added some town clerk stuff in the future, but I broke out the first issue and second issue tax bills. You could see them on there. If not, it made it look really bad on the percentages collected because we just issued the tax bill before the, but you can see where we're sitting on each of those. And then look at the back page. The only other thing that I added this month was I pulled the debt service report from Lisa that showed that we paid 2 loans off this year, and then we have one in 2006 that was. That I can take questions if anybody has any.
Are there any questions from the board? We shall move on. Proposed personnel policy amendments.
As we discussed at the last meeting, this would be, I think it was the last meeting, would be coming before you. There's a few minor changes in here. They're all due to the healthcare changes that we've had, I'll say over the last couple. See if I see it first, 6.2 retirement benefits. This isn't due to healthcare, but before we said that the town would match up to 1% of employees' gross wages in ICMA. That's been a long time. We had a discussion over the last couple weeks of gross wages isn't very descriptive, and we looked back at past practices and what we did. We just tried to clean it up a little bit more. That gross wages would be calculated off, I'm going to call it, layman's terms, normal every week paycheck. Will not include things like overtime, if they have vacation, sellback, longevity, those about a year, and then also if someone leaves or terminates their employment with the just define that a little bit better so people means. Page 106, there's another change in there. It's health retirement or the health reimbursement account, the HRA. We don't have the insurance. Page 107 is the medical insurance. You keep going, it goes to the last page. It's just an updated information on the health insurance. So really the major change to this is what we did last year. I think I talked to you guys when we did it, and we talked to the employees. But we had the April 1st, 2019 date that separated some of the long-term employees with the new employees, where the new employees were paying 20%. Some of the longer-term employees were paying the percentage that they were paying, and it was slowly increasing by 1% to get to where they did. The one thing that we did switching to age-banded rates last year was we moved people in that before April 1st, 2019 section to a level of copay that was just lower than what they would have been paying anyway in Health Trust. So with the age-banded thing, that spread the insurance rates out a little bit there, but we continue to increase them 1%, moving towards the 20%. The one thing that I would like to bring forward just for discussion with the board would have to be approved, well, I guess it wouldn't have to be approved tonight, but it could be, is I would like to propose or entertain the idea of moving that 80-20 to an 85-15. I've done research across the state. We are the only people I've found that are doing a 20% cost share. Most everybody else is a 10 or 15%. And over the past 2 years going into the new budget, we've saved almost $300,000. It's going to be a small change, and I should get you guys those numbers, but we could even do that at the next meeting if we needed to. But I think it's
You
something
don't know
we
that
should-
number right now, do you?
I don't know what the total increase would be. I should have worked on that today, but I ran out of time. It's going to be in the small thousands, less than $10,000. I'm pretty confident, but I can get you that before the next meeting, and we can have a discussion at this meeting. But
If we identify it as under $10,000, I'm good now.
No, I think we need to have the data.
Yeah,
We
I
need the
think
presentation. We need the presentation of what other municipalities are doing. I mean, we've put a lot of effort into, benchmarking ourselves on our costs and benefits, and we need to make sure we're benchmarking ourselves appropriately. So happy to have the discussion, but we should absolutely see the data.
Fair enough.
I agree with you, Eric, and I also think since it factors into the total budget conversation, we need to make sure that we have the conversation and then have plenty of time to factor it in so it's not a last-minute change or a surprise.
no, I'd agree. Let me get that number for you. I believe right now, and I want to get that number too, that it'll fit, that I can fit it within this year's budget number without making a change. Let me get that data for you, even if we pass into the beginning of the first of the year. We can make the change whenever we determine to make the change, and we can either retro it or move it forward.
Section 6.4H, it's on page 108 on the copy. Do we have anybody who takes advantage of that, like a person who was an employee who continues to buy insurance?
We do have one. We have one that was doing it, but we felt that we can use the COBRA that they have. The one thing that COBRA does is it limits the time frame a little bit, and I do believe that person's working on getting on a different plan at this and working through their COBRA benefits to do that.
I feel like if we have somebody doing it, we made that commitment before, rescinding it without knowing that they have COBRA coverage. I'm sure it's very
You have
expensive.
COBRA coverage. This says that
For us, it's paperwork because it's pass-through money, right? Process employee time to process it. We're trying to ask, I'm assuming.
yeah, that's part of it, and we really don't usually have people that stay on the COBRA. I double check, but I believe we have one employee that's COBRA right now. This way. If we do and you guys approve that, we can do it with them staying on until then. That as well.
My sense, we wish to hold off till the next meeting.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Now, on the agenda, the next item is a solid waste discussion. I'm a little concerned about time, because we also have a non-public session coming up. How does the board feel? Do you want to engage in a solid waste discussion, or postpone that till the next meeting?
Is Lindsay Smith here for that discussion? No. I'm sure she's been here the whole time.
I couldn't quite hear you.
I just wanted to make sure that Lindsay Smith wasn't here for that discussion.
I think the question is whether it's going to have a budget implication, right? And whether we need to make a decision now.
Yeah, I would just like to, I'd like to put it out there. I think this is another one. I think trying to make that decision prior to the budget would be rushing the subject. I did want to get it out there for that philosophical talk and to see what the select board wanted to do. There was a little bit, very little bit of discussion at the budget committee meeting and a little bit afterwards that, there could be some revenue that might offset a tax rate, but I think trying to push forward that fast with a finished product would be way too quick. But I also wanted to just get some numbers in front of you to start the philosophical discussion of whether we wanted to look at the fees as presented by the Solid Waste Committee with registrations and possible fees at the transfer station or not. I mean, I think there's some pluses and minuses to fee-based system. There's pluses and minuses to having it in the tax rate. As I put in my memo, I wanted to give the opportunity. I didn't want it to kind of slip away after the solid waste presentation at the last meeting, but I do think this is a longer-term discussion before a decision.
I agree. But while she is here, do either Lindsay or Jean have anything to add to their presentation from the last meeting?
Jean Patton. So I just think I get it. And for me, I have to tell you that I felt like it was a great committee and we did a lot of things. However, I felt like we were asked to do way too much for the amount of time that we were allotted. And I feel like this is something that could be looked at even further. And I feel like it needs more work. I mean, I think there's a lot of great ideas and I think there's things that could be implemented easily, but for me, I feel like it's not something that should just stop and say, okay, we're done, we're not going to do anymore. It's something that needs to be ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Lindsay Smith, I'll reiterate what Jean said. It would be great, maybe if the discussion says, if the committee or what's left of it, if you all want us to dig deeper into some of the subjects so you don't have to, or we don't tax staff that has already full plates. But maybe that's something like we can help with, and this is something that goes on for another year before it starts to be having implications in the budget itself. Just so there's a thoughtful process and an implementation. I think it's been clear already that we decided to become an SB2 town in March, and I don't think a lot of the timelines have adjusted yet, right? So the budget committee timeline hasn't really adjusted to the new timelines that we need to meet, and so trying to squeeze in other stuff in that right now probably isn't the wisest decision. And I know Jean and I would be happy to work with Jim, and I'm sure John Pellerin and others would be happy to continue it. We could pull it out and then we can have more thoughtful discussions and really come up with some focus-based stuff. But trying to squeeze it in before things that are coming up really quickly might not be the most prudent. So,
Thank you. I very much agree. And it's also a topic that people can be pretty passionate about and pretty committed to different aspects of it. So I would like to have a period of time when we can really dig into this as a board. I don't think tonight's the best time.
Agreed.
No, I would agree. I do think we're at a great, I don't want to say stopping point for the committee, but I think we're at a great stopping point to have these types of philosophical discussions before we ask the committee to say, hey, can you dig deeper into what the fee structure could really look like or go this way?
Absolutely.
We're really at that point of which way do we go. It's not really going to change the expenditure unless we do things extremely different, but how we divvy out those fees, be it tax rate or a fee structure at the transfer station or registration stickers, all those things, I think is a great discussion to have over the next few meetings, or maybe even give it a little time and come back to that for some deeper discussion. But I didn't want it to just kind of get pushed to the side right now.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay. We have two administrative items we need to address. One is veterans' tax credits for Rusin, Nolt, and Bean. We have those documents.
Yeah, those are administrative items. You don't really need to discuss them if you don't want.
Okay, and we have a current use application from
That's the same.
Appler.
It's in your packet to sign.
And they are all pretty straightforward. Do we need a motion?
I make a motion to go into,
Well, did you want
Let's
to,
do public comment.
Don't we have to do public comment?
Public comments. Thank you. Comments from the public? Now, a motion to go into non-public.
I can't remember.
Second.
Now you have to state it.
I know.
It's 91A.
91A dash 3, sections A and D.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Or yeah, it has to be yes.
I think it has to be roll call. Eric, aye.
Tracy,
Alice,
aye.
On aye.
Yes.
then I would ask, I don't know if the board needs to, I have talked with Angus a little bit on purchase price, but we have not finalized lease payment, full details or anything for a package. I do want to give you guys an update where we're at there, but if you'd like to invite Angus in, you could, or that at a future.
Why don't we start with Angus?
Thank you.
Say, Phil Shipman has his hand up if you want to take a comment. That's up to the board.
Phil.
Bill?
Have to unmute.
Phil Shipman, you have a comment? Phil, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hear you.
I had two questions for the public and I didn't get before you voted on the other thing. Two questions. One, is there a plan for a sign for the public safety building? I think it's pretty embarrassing to have little teeny public safety on the commercial sign on the driveway, and I think we should have a full sign out front that says police, fire, ambulance, and then an entrance sign for where the people are supposed to go in the building. My second comment is, has there been a contract given to plow the public safety building to an outside contractor? And if that is so, was the bid process followed to sign that contract? Those are my two questions.
You want me to answer that, John? Or-
Sure.
For the sign, there is no plan for another sign. That's the sign we put on there. We did have another sign that was engineered when we were putting the building together, and that sign came in at a cost of $30,000, and we downgraded to the sign that we have there now. We can look at a entrance sign if we believe that we need one, but there's not one planned. As for the plowing, we did extend a contract to Hess. We extended the contract from last year. We did not have to go to an RFP because the RFP is a contract over $10,000. We did enter a contract with him to do $200 per 6-inch storm. And then there's an add-on if we have him do the sidewalks of $75. We expect that to come in quite a bit below, hopefully, the $10,000 mark, but it's really dependent on weather. And we had him do it because he did it last year, and we're trying to, I don't want to say learn, but learn a little bit. That's a really constricted site, so they know kind of where to push snow, how they're doing it, and we're going to need some specialized equipment for sidewalks and stuff. So DPW asked me if they could extend his contract. We looked through it. We looked at the pricing that we thought we would be spending. It's below the RFP limit for a full-on bid package, and we approved the work from Hess for 1 year.
It's 5,000 though for getting 3 quotes. So if we go in aggregate over 5,000 in the fiscal year, we should explore that. And we have specific provision in our financial policy that you can't break it up into smaller increments
Yeah.
to get away. Yeah, sorry.
Microphone.
Oh, I'm trying, but yeah. It's 5,000 in our policy to get 3 bids. And we have a specific provision in our purchasing section of the finance policy that says you can't, break it up into smaller increments to avoid the 5,000. So if we get up to that 5,000 range, we should be very, very careful about considering, and also, the optics of it are not great. There are a lot of people in our community who I think would like to be able to bid something like that.
With that said, or what Kate just said, is it expected that the plowing would cost less than $5,000? Because I think that's probably unreasonable.
How do they know?
And how many times can you just say, okay, they plowed it last year, and so we're going to do it again this year, instead of just putting it out to the bid and having it done so there's no questions asked. There's, as far as transparency goes, nobody's, got a leg up over somebody else.
We could do that. I would agree. We're probably going to go over the 5,000. It depends on the amount of storms. I mean, it's.
Okay, comments from the board?
I think technically we went into non-public, but we should probably do that. Technically, we made a motion to go into non-public, so we should move into non-public.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Phil.